Hello, Jen. Hi,
Hello,
how are
Maya.
you? I'm
I'm
so glad to have you here today, tonight. Well, it's today with you, and tonight with me. I'm in Germany and you're in Canada. And thank God we have Zoom and internet and so on. So the time difference represents no problem at all.
no problem.
So I'm very happy to meet with you today. We've been planning this for a while, and I am so excited to share this. The things that we are going to share with these parents today are just amazing. I just want to quickly represent to you, and then you can add to to the things I say if you feel there is something more you need to say about you, so the parents will get the idea of who you are. And this is Jen, everybody. I found her on Instagram. Her Instagram profile is Mindful Moves Jen, and she shares an amazing content. She is a mother of three, and because she was in a challenging situation with her daughter when she needed a therapy, she tried to find a way to just learn something that will help her daughter better than the classic therapy. And now she's committed to teach other parents how they can do a little better physiotherapy with their children who are physically challenged. And she's really developed an amazing profile on Instagram, where she's sharing content regularly. Plus, she's doing one-on-one trainings with the parents. And welcome, Jen. You can now do the addition of the introduction for yourself.
Hello, Maya. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. So thrilled. Thank you. I'm so excited that you connected with me because yeah, you're just an amazing mom. The more I got to know you, the more amazed I am by you and your community. You have an amazing community. So thank you for letting me talk into your community. Yeah, so I'm Jen. I'm something called an Anat Baniel Method practitioner. And I discovered the Anat Baniel Method when my daughter was about 2 years old. She was diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder and really struggled for the first couple of years to find services.
Mhm.
First of all, just services in general where we lived. And secondly, the PT and the OT that we were getting, just something didn't feel right with it. You know, that
Mhm.
mama instinct was like, well, this feels really off. There was a lot of, kind of forceful movements and things. My daughter didn't really enjoy it. There
Mhm.
was a lot of, the mindset around pediatric therapy is still, no pain, no gain, forcing them into positions that aren't comfortable for them. And that before I knew about this whole world of ABM, um, that internal red flag and warning were going off in my head. I was like, this just doesn't feel right. There has to be something else out there. And I was really into respectful parenting and, trying my best with respectful parenting. And I was like, why isn't there something like this for physical therapy? Why aren't we looking at the whole individual child? Why aren't we looking at their strengths, working off of
Mhm.
their strengths? And that's when I discovered the Anat Baniel Method. And after the very first lesson I took my daughter to, there was kind of no going back. I was hooked. I was like, this is the missing piece. Um, and I eventually became a practitioner. And now I work with
So
kids in my
just
office and online. Yeah.
okay, great. And just one question came up for me right now. So when you discovered that it exists this kind of therapy that you can learn as a parent, and you can take those skills at home and actually do the exercises with her, all you needed to do was to finish that practitioner. Am I right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, the whole training process was quite involved. But it was an incredible amount of time and energy and financial resources. It was a whole 2-year program that I had to go to San Francisco for. And looking, being on the other end of it now, I'm like, these are movements that I wish I would have known about when my child was 2 years old, when my child was first diagnosed. And there are simple things that parents can do at home. Parents are already touching their children. They are diapering them. They're getting them dressed. They're feeding them. They're bathing them. You're already hands-on with them. So just by shifting a few simple movements, you can start to help their brains piece together those missing pieces that their brains just might be missing. Yeah.
Great. So I can share a little bit from my personal experience that can relate to this story. When we were dealing with a lot of different therapists with my daughter Joanna, once we've gone to something called BDA therapy, which is very similar to what you do. Basically, the parent gets the training of the movements and the ways to be exercising with a child at home, and then it was my responsibility and my job to do the exercises with her as consistently as possible, as regularly as possible, given the fact that we were dealing also with epilepsy seizure, and it wasn't really, it wasn't really ecological to do this every single day, but I really did try to do my best and to do the exercises at least 1 hour or sometimes even 2 hours a day. I remember that at the very beginnings, my self-confidence was really low in regards to do I do this right? Am I doing this exactly as the practitioner taught me? Can I do some harm to her if I do something incorrectly, and so on and so on? What advice do you have to all the parents who are just starting to do what you do with their children at home, and for them to be the givers of this therapy, actually?
Right. So my biggest advice is, well, I have several things, but first of all is to like slow yourself down as a parent. So even bringing your daily interaction with your child, slowing yourself down is one of the main tools that you can use to access your child's brain, access your child's learning brain. So just by pausing, and you can see how I'm talking now, when I pause in my speech even, it grabs your brain's attention and says, pay attention. And that's one thing I found as a parent is the easiest tool, the simplest tool you want to start creating moments, opportunities and moments throughout your day to grab your child's learning brain and create a learning moment. It doesn't matter if it's physical, emotional, communication wise, whatever. So just by slowing down your verbal speech, so your verbal communication, or even your touch. So you think about the next diaper change that you have to do, just by slowing down how you move their body, putting the diaper on, taking the pants off, whatever you do, slowing yourself down, you will notice your child become more engaged. And you will see those small learning moments happen. And that's when you can, the more deeper you go into the actual movements inside my program, you can start adding in more and more movements. But that's kind of the opening of the door, is to slow yourself down and think about. So that's my first tip, is just to slow yourself down. And then the second tip is to think of, it's really about, you're going to talk about this too. I mean, I know you do this. It's a very common theme that we work with, you and I both together work with, is to make a shift from trying to fix your child. So, I'm concerned with, physically fixing our kids. That's what I wanted to do at first as a parent, but it's really making the shift from fixing your child to connecting with your child. And that's like the secret sauce to this physical therapy, is that shift from trying to fix, coming at it from a fixing, you're not dealing with a car that you can fix body parts. You're dealing with a whole human who has wants and needs and intentions and desires. And so by slowing yourself down and connecting with your child, and I happen to show you how to do that physically through physical movement, that's the whole secret sauce to it. Yeah.
Amazing. I wish I knew. Yeah, I knew you earlier back then in those years when we were just starting with this, and I was in such a panic. and in such a rush to start all this as soon as possible, because later it could be too late, and so on and so on. And I actually missed those beginnings, moments of calmness, and I mixed them with a lot of panic and stress. But luckily, yeah, I did some things and I put myself in balance, and I was able to be present for her and to give her the attention and the care as she needed it. And I know a lot of parents are stuck in that self-confidence mode, and that's why I ask you this. And it's amazing that you mentioned that you are actually the one who can help the parents to learn how to start to practice these things with their children. So, how many sessions will those parents need with you? Do you work online like this or only personally?
Yeah, so I do both. So I have a home office near Vancouver, Canada, BC. So that's kind of where everything started. But because of COVID, everything's changed, right? So now I created an online program. That's where you're going to get kind of the most bang for your buck, and where there's just so much variation and movement that we can explore with our kids. So I've created a video library with all of the different movements that you can explore with your child in, bite-sized pieces in the videos. And so that's where most parents end up kind of migrating into the online program. But I certainly do offer like one-to-one Zoom classes, or, one-to-one Zoom sessions as well. So that's a great starting place. But most people find, you just can't cover it all in half an hour, right? All of the movements, right? So that's what the video library is all about. Yeah.
Great. So you would say that if they go through the whole course on the online video library and then have one or two sessions one-on-one with you, that would be enough for them to start, and then eventually come for consultations or just a checkup to see if they're doing right or they can progress some of the movements.
Yeah, that's what most parents kind of find is, most parents find me because they know about ABM or they've already seen a practitioner. So there's kind of that knowledge already. So they jump into the mindful movement program with all the videos. And then, once a month or whenever they kind of feel stuck, they, do a one-to-one Zoom session with me to kind of clear things up, or their child's moved on to the next stage. And that's kind of like, oh, what do I do in this case here? So that's kind of how it works. But I mean, there is also a Facebook group you can ask questions in and all that kind of stuff incorporated into the program. Yeah.
Right. So there is a Facebook group that where people can join, or
Yes.
is it only for those who already took the course? So it makes sense for them to be in that group.
Yeah. I actually have two Facebook groups, one for the paid members of the Mindful Movement program, and then a free one. Yeah. So you can just search it up on Facebook. But quite honestly, where I hang out the most on most of my free stuff is on Instagram. So you can find that at mindfulmoves.jen. That's
guys,
kind of where
we should definitely visit her profile. It's amazing. It's full of reels and videos and IGTVs, and I don't know what else. She's constantly sharing very valuable content, and I really do refer you to anyone I meet who I know that their child has physical challenge, because it's such an important thing to find resources so you can help your child. It's a hard process. I know that self-pity parties come and go, and sadness comes and goes, and sometimes, some days the parent really cannot do anything. But most of the days, special parents are very active and proactive, and they're searching for solutions, and solution is right here in front of you.
right
Take
here.
advantage of it.
Yes, absolutely.
So
And I do get a lot of, the type A parents who can devote, who want to devote, hours and hours and hours a day to do this kind of thing. And it really is, you really don't have to do that. You don't have to do it for hours and hours. When you switch from that fixing mentality into how do I connect with my child and how do I create opportunities for my child to, self-learn and self-grow physically, I mean, that's really what you're creating. You can just naturally start to incorporate it into your everyday life. So it doesn't have to look, like a formal session. And kids change, kids are going to change when you focus on engaging them and connecting with them.
This is amazing what you just said, because you've answered half of my next question, which was what about the parents who are feeling that they have to do all the time something with their children and they're just over exercising with them? I admit some of the days that was exactly what I was doing with Joanna, when I would see that she had really done enough for today. We did all the exercises, some of them double or triple maybe, and then I would say, well, it's 6 o'clock. We have 2 hours, 2 more hours to sleep. Maybe we can do some more, and that is too much. And how can what would you say for the parents to be free from that pressure to all the time constantly do? What can happen if we every day over exercise with our children?
Right. Well, first of all, my heart goes out to all the parents because I've been there, you've been there, I've been there. And it's a really hard place to be in. And it does, I think with your help, parents can start to move past that into, the next thing. But really, it's about when you think of learning a movement or learning a skill, it's really their brain that's coordinating all the muscle and all the skeleton system. It's the brain that's doing creating the movements and learning a new movement. So it's not fixing a car part. It's not fixing an arm. It's not fixing a leg.
It takes time.
Yeah, it's creating a learning moment. Now, is your child in a learning moment when they've done 3 hours of therapy? Would you be in a learning moment after 3 hours of, no, you're not. And this was the thing that I saw with my daughter the first time I took her to an Anat Baniel Method practitioner. I saw her engage with another person probably for the first time in her life. She was like 2, and she had never, they had a connection. And nobody had ever done that with her before. And you can immediately see her brain was in a learning mode, and she changed within that, like, half an hour. She changed. And that's the goal of these slow, gentle physical movements is not to fix them or to alter them in some way, physically fix them, is to connect and open up that learning brain. And when your child's engaged, when they're looking at you and laughing and smiling, that's your golden moment. And so for some kids, it lasts like 5 seconds. And then some kids, it lasts 2 minutes. You have to match with them, right? You have to grab those moments. And that's why it's to our advantage for parents to learn this, because you as parents are with your child and you know how to engage your child. That's when those golden learning moments do happen. They don't just happen on a therapy table in an hour. They actually happen at home when you're snuggling with them and playing with them and having those connected moments with them. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's a very great relief and a very good way for the parent to take a certain perspective, to do the exercises with the child without having an attachment, whether those exercises are going to fix this physical disability or not, but just to appreciate the moment that the child is in learning mode, is connecting with the parent or with the person who is doing the exercises, and gets better quality of life this way or the other, no matter if this child just stands up and walk from now on or not. And this leads me to my next question, that some of the children sadly had that kind of diagnosis, like Joanna, who cannot get much improvement in physical sense from whatever therapy you do with them. So some children have such a syndrome or a medical condition where their biological capacity has some upper level and you cannot go above that. What would you suggest to parents who get desperate, not getting the results they want after 5 months or even 1 year of therapy?
Well, I would definitely take, perspective is kind of everything. And this, the Anat Baniel Method is not a cure-all. It's not. It's a learning modality. So we're using movement to create learning opportunities, learning moments to access your child's brain. And by accessing their brain, we can help, them reach their potential, whatever their potential might be, right?
Yeah.
So, that's that you do have to have perspective as a parent, which is a really hard thing. I mean, that's part of what you do, right? Is to kind of give parents that perspective of what is, what is possible, but also holding on to that hope of, what is possible. Movement, this type of movement, because we're accessing the child's learning brain, doesn't just show up as new physical skills. It also shows up as new emotional skills, as new cognitive skills. After a set of lessons with another practitioner, I was still going through the training. My daughter came home and could count how many people there was and how many cookies we needed. She had this, and she didn't know previously, she didn't know how to count before. So she had this huge cognitive leap.
Yeah.
Because her physical body was more well organized. Like the brain's a self-organizing system. So it's organizing our movement, our emotions, and our cognitive, our intelligence as well. So, don't put just because there might be a physical limit, is there an emotional limit? Is there a cognitive limit? We don't know. You don't know. Yeah.
For me, it was huge when I realized that she is not actually developing as my expectations were at the beginning. When I saw the percent of the children who actually get better, I thought that she could get better physically as well, because the percentage were high, the statistics were high. That wasn't the case with her, but eventually I said to myself that I'm going to continue do these things with her because it cannot harm her any way possible. It's good for her to get those exercises, and we don't know what would happen if I just stop do those exercises with her. So her quality of life would be much better if I do the exercise in a positive manner.
That's a very good point too. Yeah. And I do work with kids, many kids, especially in my private practice, that, that's kind of what it is about. It's about pain management and quality of life. They feel better and have less pain when they have regular lessons, just because of the movement, right? Because a lot of them aren't able to move on their own. So having this experience of moving with the least amount of effort, it's very relaxing. It's very joyful. That increases their quality of life for sure. Yeah. And it can prevent other things up the line. I have lots of kids who, maybe they're not able to roll over. They're not able to sit on their own. So as they grow and they age, and they're sitting in a wheelchair more and more, things happen like scoliosis and those kind of those physical.
Also, it affects the lungs. It's not just the spine. It's also the lungs and all the insensitivities we have.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Really important.
Yeah, that's
even
right.
The sleeping should be done properly.
Yeah, keeping up that movement and experiencing that freedom of movement that's possible. Is important for us. We have brains to move. That's why we have brains. Yeah,
that's right. Well, I'm so happy we did this conversation, Jen. Thank you so much for coming. You guys, I'm so thrilled that I presented her to you on my platform, and I am planning to invite her again. Please be free to share comments and ask me questions you have for her in DM or contact her directly. And we will do more specific videos in the future where she will be answering your questions, or we are going to just do a sum up of the most common comments and questions, and we can do a little something more concrete and something that will serve to as much as parents as possible. Thank you so much, Jen, for your time, and we'll talk soon again.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.